I have this crazy goal of getting this podcast to over 10,000 subscribers in the next 3 months. Here's how you can help. Over 96.6% of people that view this podcast are not subscribed. So if you've got even a little bit of information or inspiration from this podcast, I please ask you to subscribe. Help me help more people, and let's get into the podcast. Keaton, Hoskins, thank you for your time today, man. I'm excited to jump into your journey. I want to start early on when you came back from Seattle and you had about 107, 150 bucks in your bank account. And you really started from nothing. I'm curious, at that time, what was the first step to change when you realized that the 9 to 5 wasn't the path you were going to go down?
It was, I specifically remember the number. It was $124. And I had just gotten back from being a missionary, and on a mission, you don't make any money.
Yeah.
And my father had just passed away. He didn't have any money when he died. Anything that he did have went to pay medical bills. So there was nothing, right?
Yeah.
And my entire life, my father tried to teach me the 9 to 5, go to college, get a degree, work up in the company, get a 401k, yada, yada, yada. And he used to say, it's the safe way. It's the safe way. And then when he was on his deathbed, he was 47 years old. He was actually the CEO of a company at the time. On his deathbed, I realized the regrets that he thought that the life he chose was safe, and it wasn't safe. I realized then when I was 21, the truth is that there is no safety in anything. And the safety net that we think we have is total bullshit. And as soon as we can get rid of that, facade, and realize that the only safe way is to become a monster yourself and to be able to do anything at any time, that's when you actually become safe. I realized that really early on. And I said, you know what? I'm never going to work for somebody. I'm just not going to do it. So that was the beginning of me starting, launching, building, growing companies. And ever since that time, we've done about 35, 40 companies that we've launched.
Yeah, it's absurd. My father passed away when he was 37, so I can resonate with losing a father young. He wasn't in my life for most of my life.
How old were you?
I was 6, so I didn't get to build any kind of relationship. My uncle passed at 37 as well. A lot of people passed really young in my life, men specifically.
From what?
Different things, heart attacks, just a bunch of different kind of stuff like that. It wasn't anything there was no common thread, unfortunately. I wish that I could figure out what that was, but I heard about that for you. And when your dad passed away, you were with him, and he told you a lot of the things that he regretted and kind of poured into you. When you first started businesses, I know that you kind of started every business from less than $7,500, which is absurd to think about because everyone thinks that they need all these resources. What was it for you that helped you just become more resourceful so that you could start something and build from nothing pretty much?
I realized that my superpower was being able to network with people and being able to paint and inspire my picture to others. That was my superpower. I realized really early on that I didn't have anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any huge skills or crazy education, but because I was a missionary, because I spent 2 years learning and mastering the art of speaking to strangers, I realized really, really quickly that the only thing I needed was the ability to connect and network with people. And the quicker I could do that, the quicker I would make money. So I did everything I ever did. I mean, one of my first businesses, I think I was 24 years old when I started a dental office. No idea what the hell I was doing, but my ability to connect with the dentist who owned the office and then tell him that I could help him run a profitable business out of it, I think was, my superpower. And then we did. And that business actually didn't cost us any money. Everything was already there. We just essentially did a DBA out of his own business and started another office, and we crushed it.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the first business either. Like you started a lot of gyms and stuff like that before you even jumped into that business. So what was it when you started when you started the gyms and everything else that went into it? How were you able to even reflect? Were you at the time able to understand that all of the skill sets that you learned from being a missionary were able to trickle down into that? Or was that just something that you realized over time?
I did realize that what I had gotten from my mission, from being a missionary, really was crucial and beneficial for me. But no, I didn't really realize those talents. They were a piece of me, and I didn't realize that nobody else had those, or a lot of people don't have those. When I started my first real company, I had been a personal trainer working at a gym, working for myself, selling my own personal training, doing my thing. And then I realized real quickly I could sell really well. And so I started making a ton of money selling personal training. And then I started my own personal training company where I had personal trainers come to my house. And what we did is we kind of put together a program where I would go and sell personal training in people's homes and tell them that we would bring the gym equipment to them. So you didn't need a gym anymore. You just needed a personal trainer. And we started a company. It was called MoFit, stood for Mobile Fitness. And we just crushed it. I had 6 trainers working around the clock. That was actually one of my very first businesses. And it didn't cost me much. I mean, we got some Bosu balls and kettlebells and bands and, all the simple shit. And we really, that's really the start of my businesses. And then when we started doing really well, we were doing about 75 grand a month. I decided that I wanted to get into the gym. So I went in and I bought a gym. I partnered and bought half of a gym, a 65,000 square foot gym. And again, no money out of my pocket. I just brought my business in and the gym wasn't doing well. So it worked out. And from there, dude, I just realized really quickly, anything that I wanted, anything I would be able to have if I put my mind to it and I stayed disciplined to what it took to get it.
So what comes down to that mindset? Where did you acquire it? How did that come to you? And one thing I want to mention on that is something I've heard you speak about a lot that I align with so much is that your professional development will never exceed your personal development. So there's so much personally that you've grown within yourself. What was it within that mindset? What helped you build that to begin with?
It came out of necessity. When my father passed away, I was the oldest of 5 children and, of course, a widow mother. And my father used to speak to me often about the fact that I was going to have to take over, that I was going to have to take the patriarchal order, which, essentially means be the dad of the whole family. And out of necessity, I had no choice but to step up to the call. I mean, I guess I could have said, nah, I don't want to do this and been a lazy piece of shit. But the reality is that it was necessity that forced me into the fire of growth. And most people don't realize, like, you got to either choose to get into the fire of growth or you get pushed into the fire of growth. I kind of did both. I did step up to the challenge, but I was forced into that bitch. I had no choice other than to say, I have to step up. I have to take care. I have to take care of my mother. I have to take care of my siblings. I got to take care of my family. And from there, I realized that I put a mantle on my shoulders that said, you must be a savage in being a leader to those that you love because you have been forced into leadership. You do not get the choice to waddle around in victim mentality and poor me and oh me, I have no money. And through that, it forced my mind into the place that it needed to be, which was I'm willing to do whatever it fucking takes to get there, which most people aren't. Most people are not willing to do whatever it takes. Most people say they are, and they get motivated for a minute, but they don't really do what it takes. And what it takes, it's kind of simple. It's just discipline. It's discipline to the daily habits, routines, and principles every single day. I teach this a lot, actually. The common denominator for successful people in any industry, successful in their marriage, successful in their relationship, successful in their business, in their money, it's all one thing. It's discipline. And that's what we as human beings should be trying to savagely attack to get anywhere in life.
Do you think that it requires you to have no other option, almost that plan A mentality of you had to you were the oldest of every one of your siblings and you had to take that role for someone that maybe isn't in that position that has the options to try out different things? How do you acquire that discipline when you have other options, if that makes sense?
I actually have thought about this topic a lot. If I don't force myself into necessity, will I continue to pick discipline?
Exactly.
And I love hearing success stories where people say they burned the bridges, they burned the boats.
Mm-hmm.
One of those stories of settlers coming across to America, you hear that they get to America and the captain lights the ship on fire. And everybody's standing around like, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's like, we're not going back. We will not go back. We do not have a choice anymore. I burned the boat. It's burned down. So we must start a new life here. We must start a new civilization here. And out of necessity, it must succeed. I think it's more stressful, but it is easier when you want to succeed, to burn the boats. Plain and simple. The quicker you can burn the boats, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
Yeah. With the business that you had, when it came to the gym, I know there was a lot of difficulties with the owner that was there, and that led into everything else that you did throughout that journey. Was there anything that had self-doubt or anything that came up for you when there was a lot of things going on? I know the gym was failing, and when you came in, there was just a lot of things that were a part of that.
I think everybody hears like confident people, even like myself, and they think, oh, they had no self-doubt. They had no self-doubt. The truth is everybody has self-doubt. Every person. I have self-doubt. I have my new event coming up in April, and I'm supposed to fill an arena of entrepreneurial, life-changing people, of 12,000 people. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I have tons of people telling me there's no fucking way it's not going to be possible. I doubt every single day. Self-doubt is something you must learn to deal with as your shadow. Self-doubt will always be a shadow. But the difference between those who become successful are those who learn how to process and work through self-doubt rather than making it stop them. You've heard the saying, analysis by paralysis. Analysis by paralysis comes from self-doubt. I doubt that what I am analyzing I can actually do, so I just become paralyzed and I never do what it takes. The truth is there's nobody. Elon Musk has self-doubt, but he has learned quickly to work through that and work alongside of it and not allow it to dictate the decisions that he makes in his life. Everybody has self-doubt. It's those who learn how to work through it and conquer it while it remains a shadow in their life.
Right. I think the best skill that you can develop is being able to take idea to execution within the shortest amount of time. Right. It's overcoming that self-doubt and not letting it control you. The victim mentality is something that I definitely talk a lot about because I think a lot of people get paralyzed in that victim mentality. Life is happening to me rather than life is happening for me. How have you been able to close that gap and shorten that gap? Because in everything that you're doing, just like you said right there with the event and everything that you've done, 2024, I bet is going to be a massive year for everything that you're doing. How have you been able to close that gap and just get into the habit of just executing, which is I think a lot of people struggle with.
Absolutely. The reality is that most people take time to make decisions, not because they don't know which decision they want to make, but because they don't know who they are. The
Mm.
reality of this life for most people is it's hard to make any decision when you don't really know who you are. We talk all the time about how important confidence is. The only thing that confidence is you just plain and simple know who you are. So the more that I find out who I am and am solidified in the person that I am, the easier it is to make decisions. So again, we said this in the beginning, but dude, your personal development is the gateway to professional development. If you cannot work on yourself and grow your own ability to know who you are and grow in confidence, you'll never be able to make the right decisions. And the right decisions are always done. They're not decisions that you make over 2 years and 5 years and 10 years. The truth is every single one of us are going to fail. So failure is part of it. And as soon as you accept failure, you understand I'm making this decision. And if I fail, I fail, but I will learn and I will continue to fail my way all the way to success. The problem is we never start the race. We never make the decision to start the race because we stand at the starting line wondering if the race is even worth it. What if I fall? What if I trip? But the truth is the race is all the same distance for all of us. It's through failure and failure and failure and failure. But so many of us sit on the sidelines of the race thinking one day I will join, but I gotta be right first. I gotta be perfect first. Not realizing that even the greatest of all are starting the race and failing and starting the race and failing and starting the race and failing. If failure becomes a part of what you know, everything you do, you will be successful at.
Yeah. Failure is feedback is the way that I've reframed it in my mind. I feel like if I see it as feedback, because I think the big thing for people is they see failure and success as two separate roads. And so they think that if I fail, I'm going down this road and success is this road. But then the reality of it is it's the same road. Success is just further along the road of failure as it seems.
100%.
And
100%. There's no journey without failure.
right, there isn't. And there's never going to be, even the businesses that you've had, everyone has succeeded, but to what extent, right? So that you can define it as a failure, you can define it as a success. Has there been anything that you've noticed with people that you've worked with through Limitless Society? You're coaching people now and really helping people and mentoring people. What are the common threads that you find people struggle with?
We've actually touched on a lot of them. Self-doubt and confidence is a huge one. I'll give you a secret. When I was 22, no, let's see, 20, yeah, I think 22, 23. My first wife, we found out she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I knew my shit. I felt like I knew who I was and I was confident. I didn't really, but I felt like I did. Yeah. I found out she was pregnant and we went through the whole pregnancy. And I specifically remember the birth of my first daughter. I remember her coming out. I remember holding her. And I remember later in that day, I had a moment and it was just her and I, just holding her. And I remember thinking while I was holding her, man, I would die. I would die for this little human being. And then I began to think about that thought, like, what am I willing to die for? Truthfully, what am I willing to die for? And then the birth of my second daughter, same thing. I remember holding her and the love that I felt. And I remember in my mind, the rhetoric was really simple. Oh, I would die for her. And then my last, or I should say my middle, I got 5 daughters now. My middle daughter, she's 2 now. It was chaos when she was born. It was just like, I wasn't married and I had just been dating my fiance and we had a baby. And I remember holding her again. And this time it was a little bit different. I thought I would die for her. And then I remember thinking, but what else would I die for? Legitimately, what else would I die for? Anybody you ask would say my family and my loved ones, right? But that's not what it takes. I went home that night and I sat down, I grabbed a pen and paper and I made a column. The first column I made was my core values, right? I mean, my core values. Oh, I believe in honesty. I believe in integrity. I believe in freedom. I believe in love. I believe in being a leader, all of those things. And then because of the birth of my daughter and the thought process of what would I die for, I went back to my core values and I went through the list and I said, what on this list am I willing to die for? And I began to make a second list. And that second list I called my ethos. Do you know what an ethos is?
Kind of like your internal compass of some sort.
Yeah. It's essentially, the definition is the guiding belief of a person, right? Mm-hmm. So I began to take my core values and I checked every one of them if I am willing to die for them. One of my best friends, he sings a song. It's called, I think it's called Try and Keep Me Down or something. But in the song, he gives a statement and it hit me like a ton of rocks when I heard it. It says, I'm so tired of everyone not being willing to die for anything. Mm-hmm. And I realized, like, holy shit, I need to figure out in this life what I'm willing to die for. And most motherfuckers have no idea what they're truly ready to die for. So I began to make my ethos the guiding belief of who I was, the belief system that I was willing to die for. And as I began to write this, it became really crystal clear to me who I was, what I'm about, and what I'm willing to do in this life. And when I realized that list it wasn't long, but it was a decent list, I then realized I just set up the definition of what I am willing to live and die for in this life. And I knew at that time, that's who I am. And as soon as I did that, I knew with a surety, with a sure foundation, that who I was crystal clear to me now. The problem is most of us do not know who we are. So to find out who we are, we must first ask the question, what am I willing to die for? And that answers that question. You do this exercise over and over and over and over. You continue to refine and define who the fuck you are. And when you find out who that is, every single decision becomes very easy. I don't make decisions in a year's time. I don't make decisions in a month's time. I make decisions now because I know who I am. And that's the problem with most people. We don't know who we are. How the fuck do we know what we want? You know, this weekend I was down in Cabo. I saw a house I liked. And within 30 minutes, I was on the phone with a local realtor. I said, hey, I want to go see this house. And he goes, okay, you realize like there's no financing here. You have to pay cash. And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, dude, we just had this cool event, this cool retreat, right, at a house next door. And I'm like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to keep touching people's lives. I want to change people's lives. I literally told him, I said, how much is he asking? He's asking 2.5 million. Okay, cool. I want you to write a letter and tell him I want to do 2.4. I want you to tell him we're going to put down X amount of money. I want you to tell him we're going to pay it off in 6 months. This is my offer. Make the fucking offer. And within literally 10 hours from seeing it to buying it, that was the decision that I made because I know who I am and I know what I want. Most people don't. One of my favorite people, her name's Cody Sanchez. She's a rock star. I've had her speak at some of my events. She's just a rock star. But she said, I watched a clip the other day. She said, show me how long it takes you to order on a menu, and I'll show you how successful you are.
Wow.
And I thought, oh shit, it don't take me long. I could look at a menu in 10 seconds at any new restaurant, know exactly what I want. I can go out to a business meeting and make a decision like that because I know exactly what I want. It's very crystal clear as for what I want. Most people are not willing to do that. And I'll share again, I'm going to share a secret with you. And this really is a secret. I know a lot of gurus are always like, I got secrets, but this really is a secret. You got to get into a dark place. A dark place is a place where you contemplate death of yourself and death of those around you. In that dark place, you will find the light. You can't find light unless it's dark all around. Otherwise, it's just all mixed in together, right? So if I'm to find the light of who I am, I must go dark, plain and simple. Most people aren't willing to go dark. They're not willing to go and find the light. And then they cannot find out who they are. And without finding out who they are, they will continue to float through this life in buoyancy of making stupid fucking decisions that affect nothing and no one. And then when the hard decisions come, they put them on the back burner and they think about them for years and years and years. I mentor people now, and my mentoring is expensive. It just is. But one of my first questions to people is I say, listen, this is a pre-qualifying question. If we figure out that I want to work with you and you want to do this, how long is it going to take you to make a decision to work with me? Oh, well, I need to speak with my wife and I need to think about it. I'll get back to you next week. Cool, great. You're not a person I want to work with. You're not fucking ready. You're not dark enough. You don't have the light of who you are. And listen, I can build anybody, but I can't build a motherfucker that's indecisive. And the only way to get to where you want to be in this life is to be decisive. So you must know who you are, and who you are is who you are willing and what you are willing to die for.
That's why you're a speaker, man. Love it. I love the energy that you bring. Something that you've said about Ed Milet is you are the one that breaks all the generational curses and everything that stands in between. You spoke about your daughters earlier, and something I wanted to speak about was what are some of the things that you've been working on, even the dark side of who you are, so that you don't have to bring it down and give it to your children?
You know, that's a really good question. I'm adamant now of the understanding that whatever I don't beat, I will pass on to my children. Any addictions, any weaknesses, any faults, I will pass down to them to deal with them because I was too much of a coward to deal with them myself. And the truth is I don't know a much more powerful statement for a father than thinking about if I am not willing to battle this demon, I'm going to pass it down to my children. But if I take the time and energy to beat this, I can show them and they don't have to deal with it. So for me, that's my guiding light. everything in my life that is a weakness, and I still have tons of weaknesses, I look at them as if I were to pass them to my children. And I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to pass crazy pride to my children. I don't want to pass addiction to my children. I don't want to pass weakness and laziness and mediocrity. I don't want to do that. I seek for their life to be greater than mine. So I must attack like a savage all of my weaknesses, knowing that when I get them and I beat them, they don't have to.
I love your energy. And that's something that I've continued to notice about you, is that the intensity that you carry is something that I think a lot of the people that you surround yourself with, whether it's Ed Milet or Andy Frisella or any of these people, they carry this intensity that I think a lot of people don't carry. When did that develop for you? And do you believe that that is a necessity when it comes to creating whatever people define as success?
Uh, Ask that question again. What do I feel? What are you referring to as a necessity?
Intensity, the mindset of being intense about things.
So I've been studying a lot this idea, this topic, and I think even now I can't say that I've ever found anybody that's successful and at peace and in happiness that isn't intense in some way or another. Listen, you don't have to be like me, shouting and crazy energy. But you do have to bring a lot of energy to whatever you're doing. And again, energy is different for everybody, right? Like there's very intense energy, there's very loud energy, there's very energetic energy. But I think, in fact, I don't know anybody that's doing everything they want to do in this life that isn't as just as intense as fuck about it. Because without intensity, when discipline calls, you're not able to perform. I can't perform the tasks of discipline when I'm tired and I'm lazy and I'm ornery and I'm angry and my energy isn't there. You're essentially fighting battles every day that you have chosen, usually, to just give up on. It takes a fucking savage. It takes an animal to get through what it takes to be who you want to become. So without energy, I don't know how anybody's doing anything. I spend a lot of time in the gym. If I were to go to the gym without any energy, how much work am I really going to put in? What am I going to get? What am I going to break through? Nothing. So again, I think to answer that simply, I don't know anybody without it. So I don't know if you can finish this life the way you want without it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. I think it's important, especially for the work that you're in. You have to have a burning desire to, now where you're at right now, you're in this place of service and wanting to help people. And if you don't have that intensity, no one is going to be able to feel the energy that you cultivate. Even just you speaking right now, I think people can feel that energy through it. And that's exactly a big reason I wanted you on the show. Junior or June, someone that you grew up with that had a big impact on you. It's a big reason you have a lot of the tattoos on your body. What kind of impact did he have on you and really change the direction of your life in itself?
Huge impact. And I'll try to do this without getting emotional because he's my brother. He was actually here in town 2 weeks ago. And my mom does this really cool, tradition where everybody's birthday, they come to my mom's house and then we sit in a circle and we tell them one beautiful memory about them.
Love that.
And, we essentially adopted him into our family when he was 17, and he became a part of the family. And, with my father dying and being ready for death, it was really hard for me to go on my mission. Most people don't know missionaries leave for 2 years. They don't have a lot of contact with the world that they know. And they don't have much contact with their family. And before I left on my mission, I remember my mom pulling me aside. And she said, you need to fully understand that when you go, this may be it for you. This may be it for you. Like you may not see your father again. And I understand that you want to go and I want you to go. But I want you to make this decision based off of the knowledge that this may be the last time that you see your father. And I specifically remember I had a conversation with my brother, Junior. And I said, dude, I'm really, really nervous to go. And I don't know if I'm willing to leave my dad and have this be it. And at that point, I was still the leader of my family. I was taking care of my father. I was taking care of my siblings. And last 2 weeks ago when we did this at my mom's house, I shared this story. I said, you know, the only reason that I was able to go on my mission, the only reason, truthfully, was because I had a conversation with June, and he said to me, go and serve. I will stay back and I will take care of your family. And it was really, really powerful because I was so scared about what would happen to my family while I was gone. But he stood by my side and you know, very gently, he's a big man, very gently said to me, go and serve, and I will take care of your family. And truthfully, that was so impactful. He is through and through my brother and my family. But the only reason that I went was because of the assurity that he gave me. It's funny, a lot of people see this big white guy with Polynesian tattoos and they're like, oh, you're such a poser. But they don't really know that the Polynesian culture, June, it was an integral part of my life. It created who I was. It was a culture and a people that I identified with. And for him to say like, hey, I'll stay back and I'll take care of your family. Go and do the work that you plan on doing. Like, that was a pivotal moment for my life. That man, I love him to death, and I will, for the rest of my life, be in debt to him. But dude, he was the reason that I was able to go. And again, I tell that story because the majority of the success I have comes and stems from me being a missionary. I learned so many wonderful things: how to communicate, how to master talking to strangers, all of those beautiful things that it takes to become successful. I learned, or I started to learn, on my mission. So again, his piece and role in my life, not just as my brother, but as a leader, when I needed somebody to step up and be a leader, he was there.
A true representation of the person that you want to be, the leader that you are now. It's awesome. I heard you speak about him in a different podcast, and it just hit me in a sense I needed to bring it up in this podcast. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to bring that up. One thing that you speak about often, as you just spoke there, being a missionary taught you a lot about how to speak with people and how to build relationships. One thing that I think that you do that really separates yourself from, I want to say, really anyone that I've been able to really dive into, is your ability to give without expectation in such a way that you're able to build relationships that really no one else can build in every area. I mean, even doing the work that you're doing in speaking now, the reason you're able to bring Cody Sanchez and Tony Robbins and all these other people is because you've been able to just give without expectation. For someone that maybe doesn't have the ability to give so much as you do, where do you think people can start to become a better, I don't want to say networker because I don't like that word. I don't like the framing that people give with it, but just build relationships with people when you don't have too much to give?
You know, I had this conversation this weekend actually with a lot of people at our retreat in Cabo. Um, I spoke on being a non-transactional character.
Yep.
Most people are transactional characters. Most people say, if I do this, then you do this. If I do this, then you do this, you know, and if you give me this, I'll give you this. That's how the majority of the world works. If you step up and you become a non-transactional character and you bring value into the lives of the people that are around you without any sense of getting anything in return, everything changes. I like the word networking, but I like to redefine it.
Mm.
Networking is not walking around shaking hands and handing out business cards. One of my really good friends, Bradley, he always says, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And I think that's false. I don't think that's true. I think the more people you bring value to, the more money you make. So I learned that principle a long, long time ago. And I don't know if it's just who I was or who I was raised to be, but I don't need anything from anybody. So if I come to you and I bring something to you, it's a value added to you, and I don't need anything in return. One of the most beautiful things in the whole world is like these events that I throw. You know, a lot of these speakers charge a lot of money. Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Andy Elliott. You know, these guys charge $50,000 to $150,000 to speak at events. They don't charge me. And the reason they don't charge me is because of the value that I have brought to them without any transactional relationship. I don't need anything back. I don't need anything from you. I just want to add value to you. One day on my deathbed, I want to be surrounded by people who all in one voice say the reason that we love him and what he brought to us was value that he never asked for in return. If I can bring value to you, we will network. If you can bring value to me, we will network. But the reality is most people want to take, they want to drain, they want to use. So when you step up and become a non-transactional character, you literally rise yourself above everybody else. You just do. And the reality for me is that's when you truly become successful. And I mean, it's a big deal, but the reason that I believe in being a non-transactional character is because it makes me feel in my heart that I have purpose. I don't want to be in a place where I'm coming to a table and saying, "Hey, what can I eat here at your table?" I would rather build my own table and have you come and enjoy what I have than come to yours and ask you for something. And now here's the big piece. And I don't know how many people listen to your podcast. Maybe you have 100, maybe you have 100 million. But here's the piece of advice that I gave this weekend. Every single person has a ton of value that they can bring to other people. Now, it may not be money. Some of your listeners may be like, I don't have any money. I can't bring any value. That's bullshit. One of the greatest people I know in my life, his name's Sia. He is dead broke. He don't have no money. He maybe makes $40,000, $50,000 a year. He lives in a small apartment, but I bring him everywhere. The reason I bring him everywhere is because of the value that he brings to my life, the energy of love that he brings. He listens. He does everything he can to bring value to me. Value is not money. Most people, and here's another, little nugget for people listening. Most people like to talk. Very few people like to listen. So if I can bring value to those who want to talk and just listen, the value is insane. I watch people every day try to get in front of people that they think are of value. And you know what they do? They just spit and spit and spit and spit and spit. They never shut the fuck up and listen to that person. I'm surrounded by people that want to tell me about their lives and all the things they do. I don't have a lot of people that say, "Hey, man, I'm just here to listen to you. I'm just here to be here. I want to bring value of energy and listening to you." And you can start by just doing that. A simple way to do it is when you meet a stranger or you meet someone that you want to network with, listen to them. Shut up and listen. Ask them about who they are. Ask them about what they do and listen. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. They just do. Don't be the person that's trying to one up. Don't be the person that's sharing stupid fucking stories. Don't be the person that's opening their mouth. Shut up and listen. If you can meet someone, listen to them, and ask proper questions, you quickly will find out a need that you can fulfill. As soon as you see that need, you then can bring value. And most of the time, it's not money. And that's universal. Everybody has value. Bring the value and watch your network go through the roof.
I love it. I think a lot of people believe that they have to have money or a network to bring value to. I hope to do that with the podcast, is listen and hope people feel seen through the podcast. With the research that I do is the way that I try to provide the most value that I can. To speak with people like this. And that's a big part of this podcast, just listening and really just asking the questions that I feel a lot of people need support with. One thing that I often ask, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, is what's something that you've spent a lot of time on, whether that's mentally or physically, that you think me or my audience should skip entirely?
Ooh, man, this is gonna sound bad.
That's all right.
I don't spend I don't have things I spend time on that people shouldn't. Let me give you kind of a reverse to that answer if I can.
Yeah.
People spend too much time on minutia. Too much time on things that don't fucking matter. How long does it take you to get ready in the day? How long does it take you to make a decision? Where does your energy and your focus go throughout the day? One of the greatest things you could ever learn at a young age is how to time manage. There's 168 hours in a week. After 8 hours of sleep, there's 112. Most people have a 40 to 50 hour week of work. That means you have 62 hours left. What are you doing with that time? Well, I take an hour to get ready every day. Cool. That's 30 hours a month, dude. 30 hours. Or, hey, I take an hour to kind of get going in the day. I got to drink my coffee. I got to, cool. That's an hour. Hey, I spend 4 hours in the gym. Well, that's stupid. You should be spending about an hour and a half in the gym. There's so many small things that people are doing that have no consequence on success at all, or no tie to success. Stop spending time on minutia. And minutia, some people don't even know what that word is. Minutia is the minute shit, the shit that doesn't matter. I'm not saying don't fucking take care of yourself, but how often in the day are you spending time fixing your hair, getting in the shower, changing your clothes, worrying about your wardrobe? Dude, I haven't picked an outfit for who knows how long. I wear Levi's and a shirt every fucking day and boots. I don't have outfits. I don't spend time thinking about what I'm going to wear. And here's another thing, and this is another piece for those who are this successful. If you don't have an assistant in your life, you are never going to get to where you want to be. When I was 23 and I had just made my first 100 grand, I hired an assistant for $24,000. I literally paid her $2,000 a month. She made my bed. She paid my bills. She made my food. She went grocery shopping. She did all the shit. Dude, I haven't ever even done or looked at my taxes because I have somebody that does that. I spend time doing things and pieces of my life that are valuable. If you have $20 an hour jobs, you're only going to make $20 an hour the rest of your life. Get rid of that shit. For those that are listening, if you are in a place where you're spending time, wasting time, either accept you're going to be mediocre or get that shit out of your life. I used to love football. I played football in college. I used to love football. When I got to be about 22, I don't give a fuck about football. Don't get me wrong. If I'm at something and I watch a game, I still love the sport, but I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time for what team is what and watching a 3-hour football game. I don't have time for that. It doesn't do anything. Those who are mediocre find time for shit like that. I don't. I want to progress. I'm obsessed with progression. And if I can't put adequately the pieces in place that need to be in place for me to do the things to progress, I'm going to fail. I'm a huge proponent for having a bed made every day. Guess what? I don't make my fucking bed. Somebody does that. And everybody here on the call, some people are listening. They're like, well, I make $60K a year. I can't hire an assistant. Well, then you're never going to not make $60K a year. That's what you're going to do the rest of your life. Get someone to do the minutia. Get someone to do the $20 an hour jobs. And it doesn't cost that much, dude. It's $20 an hour. Fuck, give them 20 hours a week. Get 20 hours back. But don't spend the 20 hours watching TV. Don't spend the 20 hours sleeping. Don't spend the 20 hours getting ready for the day or prepping your meals or all kinds of bullshit. People spend the majority of their life doing shit that is inconsequential. It means nothing. So I think to answer that, and again, I'm not tooting my own horn because, dude, I'm very inadequate. I'm not that smart. I'm not that talented. I just continue to put in as much fucking time as I can. A great example, dude. I have a schedule. I have a time management schedule. I have an assistant that texts me every 30 minutes from the time I'm up to the time I go to bed. I didn't remember we had this podcast. She texted me 30 minutes ago and said, hey, you got a podcast. In about 10 minutes, I have another phone call. I will have calls and meetings until 7 o'clock tonight. Then at 7, I've dedicated 1 hour to my children. Then from there, I dedicate 1 to 1.5 hours to my wife every day. And maybe it is just sitting and watching a movie. Maybe that time is dedicated to just sitting and watching a movie, but it's a purpose. It's a purpose that I'm doing something. I'm not laying on the couch being a lazy piece of shit saying, hey, you guys want to just come sit here? No. What do you want to do? And I want to do it with you. So if you can learn how to time manage and actually set up your schedule, get rid of the minutia, you'll find so much more success.
Yeah, I love it. I have been tracking pretty much every 30 minutes, hour of my day for the past 2 years, because if I find myself not getting the things done I want to get done, well, here, let's look at what I'm spending my time doing. And I think a lot of people would gain a hell of a lot from that. That is for sure. For someone that maybe wants to hire an assistant or wants to spend time on something else, how did they even get started to figure out what is the path I should go down? Because I realized that when I was working a 9 to 5, I realized, okay, no matter what I do, I'm making this amount per hour. That never made sense to me. And so I put my 2 weeks in and started entrepreneurship. But for someone that doesn't know where to start, what do you tell them?
Go back, go back to that beginning conversation and figure out what you're willing to die for. Find out who you are. I know a lot of your listeners aren't going to like this answer, but I'm going to give it anyways. You should spend every dime you have on personal progress and development, and you should spend that as much as you possibly can. You should be getting a mentor. You should be at events. You should be at things that progress you, the things that teach you. The more you dump into your personal progress, the more you dump into your personal development, the more successful you'll be, plain and simple. If I make 60K a year and I'm wondering how to get out, I literally would say, okay, my bills are $2,800 a month. Everything above and beyond that is going into an investment of me. I need to get better. I need to hire somebody. I need to join groups. I need to get into networking. I need to go to events, everything. And watch. Some people, they'll never do it and they'll still stay at 60K a year. They'll retire at 65 with a little bit of a pension and live a fucking mediocre life. And someone listening on this call is going to go, okay, I'm going to dump every last dime I have into my personal progress. I need a mentor. I need to be in a group. I need to go to events. And in that, you will progress. You will progress. And when your personal development has progression, so does everything else. You make more money, plain and simple.
You are someone that has done a lot, as we've kind of spoken about in this podcast. You wrote a book, 30 plus businesses, been on a TV show for plenty of years, kids, everything in between. What has taught you the most about yourself?
Adversity and being in the fire. One of my favorite Old Testament scriptures talks about a refiner's fire. It says that God is actually the refiner's fire, and that we are as silver and gold going into the fire to be purged of our imperfections. The more adversity, the more discomfort, the more hardship, the more hard shit that I put myself in, the more I find out who I am. And the more I find out who I am, the more I realize what I want and what I want to do and who I want to become. The problem is our society is filled with comfort, crazy amounts of comfort. I literally can sit on my couch, play video games, and have food delivered to me all day, every day. I can be as comfortable as I want, but in that comfort, I will never grow. I won't grow. So now I tell people, get your ass in the refiner's fire. Be uncomfortable, hurt, go through adversity. Find out who you are when the cards are stacked against you. Find out who you want to become when you are in that adversity. The true definition of a man is only found out when he is in hardship, not when life is easy. Stop picking the easy route. Start getting uncomfortable. Put your ass in the fire. And then here's the piece to it that everybody forgets. The refiner's fire, when the refiner puts the gold in the fire, he leaves it in there until he pulls it out himself. And in pulling it out, he checks to see if it's perfect by his reflection in it, meaning it's totally perfect. There's no imperfections. But if he pulls it out too soon, he fucks everything up. He literally embeds those imperfections. We as a society pull ourselves out of the refiner's fire all day, every day, and then we wonder, why am I tired? Why do I have anxiety? Why do I have depression? Why is my mind not working right? It's a simple answer. Because you refuse to remain in the fire that would have purged you of all of the shit that you are now dealing with. So that's the piece.
It's an amazing analogy. It's an amazing analogy. There's one last question I ask every guest, and it really aligns with the limitless society and everything that you stand for. Really not following the rules is something that I absolutely love. My question to you is, what belief are you currently unlearning?
Unlearning?
Correct.
Probably expectations for others. No life is fulfilled when you live by expectation of others. learning to understand what is in my control and unlearning what is not in my control, and allowing myself to focus only on that which I can control is where I'm focusing a lot of my time and energy. I love people. I love people and I love to see them progress. And I have expectations oftentimes for those that I help and that I see progress. And those expectations are let down a lot. And it gets me frustrated. It gets me upset. It gets me angry. It gets me, ornery. Learning to let go of expectations, simply putting the path out in front of them and then letting them choose for themselves. Loving someone enough to say, I have no expectations for you. I will show you the way, but you have to take it. You always hear that metaphor, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. And with expectations, you're expecting them to drink. Stop doing that. Let go of expectations. That's something I'm focusing a lot on. And it's allowing me to dictate my life because I focus on that which I have control over. I only have expectations for one person. That's me. I live and die by those expectations. Everybody else, it's up to them. And I've had to unlearn that. And I continually am unlearning that.
I love it. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate all the value that you provide. Of course, all of your links and everything will be in the show notes, but is there anywhere you'd like to direct people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. This has been a good podcast.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.